A new documentary turns the camera on one of Hollywood's most legendary director, Martin Scorsese. It's called Mr. Scorsese. It is a 5-part documentary that takes a look at the life and career of the man behind some of Hollywood's most iconic films. It includes an interview with Scorsese himself, a rare peek into his private archives, and conversations with family, friends, and renowned collaborators, including longtime friend Robert De Niro.
Do you ever get that feeling like you and Marty might really spend your whole lives working together?
We come together in a certain way, and then I can be very honest with him about stuff that we talk about, connection to the scene that we're going to do. Reminds me of this that I went through. I'm telling only him, because just so we get an idea of what I was thinking and maybe what details of that particular anecdote, that experience, we could put in the scene.
The director of Mr. Scorsese joins us now, Rebecca Miller, along with our resident movie buff, Vladimir Dutier.
Hey.
Rebecca, that's such a beautiful documentary. How did you get such access to him? Because he's pretty private.
Well, it began with an idea that he would be my favorite subject, and I proposed it to his doc producer. She proposed it to him. He said yes, because he knew my films, he knew my prior documentary, and we took it from there. I didn't know him very well to start with. I knew him a little bit socially. I had met him on the set of Gangs of New York, and it was really an investigation. It was a feeling through the dark, and we developed a kind of friendship over 5 years, you know?
The first episode is really magical because you have Scorsese in the chair talking about his childhood, his upbringing, and you see as he's speaking that many of the psychological feelings, the experiences he had, are then echoed and reflected in the movies he later made. How long did it take you to realize that connection was there and then to find the clips to illustrate it so beautifully?
Well, within the first year or so, it became clear to me that there was this kind of tango between life and art. And at a certain point, I asked him a question about, he talks about temptation. I say, do you mean him as a filmmaker or a man? And he says, both, because there's no difference. And that was a really big tip to me. I was like, okay, so really maybe the form of this film is going to take that you're watching these two things interwoven.
Is there did you find that there is an aesthetic when it comes to a Martin Scorsese film, and that aesthetic is something that he purposely puts into his films, or it's what we take from it when we watch them?
I think he developed what we think of as his classic style over time. It was kind of really solidified when he made Goodfellas, but actually some of those formal inventions were there in his early film. It's not just Hugh Murray. It's not Hugh Murray when he was 21. So that's interesting. But then I think the key to his quote-unquote style is that all his camera moves all are rooted in character and narrative necessity, and that makes it very special.
So, Rebecca, you spoke to, I mean, everybody basically, like in his contacts on his phone, his kids, his ex-wife, all of the stars that have been in his movies, Leonardo DiCaprio, Spielberg, everybody. What did you learn from folks that surprised you the most?
You know, I never stopped being surprised in this documentary because I didn't know that much about him personally. I was very educated in terms of his films. Of course, I was very prepared. But I didn't know, and maybe I intentionally didn't know so much, so that when I was talking to him and others, I could be surprised. I could be surprised by his biography, because I really didn't know. And I think that was a little bit the key to having these conversations, that it wasn't me trying to manipulate him, it was me just figuring out what had happened.
Well, Rebecca, it's a triumph.
Amazing.
It's going to be watched by generations of filmmakers today, tomorrow, and into the future. So it's really
Bravo.
So much.
So
Thank you. I really
congratulations.
appreciate it, you guys. Thank you.
The film is Mr. Scorsese. It is a 5-part documentary. It's streaming right now on Apple TV.